All right, good afternoon, team, and happy Friday. It's really nothing special, but we're halfway through the week here, and we have some decent news today on the mortgage bond front, which we're going to go over here in just a second. Derrick Evans here, VA home loan specialist, also home loan specialist. We're going to talk about some conventional loan stuff today. NMLS 155010 are the digits. My cell phone number is up there if you want to call or text or email me questions you have about home loans, particularly VA home loans. Okay, so the question I keep getting is, and I'm getting this from lots of people. Realtors are saying this online, Facebook. They're posting, hey, is anyone else feeling a little bit of a slowdown? People are texting me, hey, is the market slowing down? Should we pull back from buying? And so just kind of a general concept that I want to talk about today and really give you the best way to approach this, really give you the best way to make a determination about this and figure out what's actually happening. So I'm on the ground. I'm in the weeds, doing deals, working with people, talking to sellers, talking to listing agents, working with buyers, watching buyers drop like flies. And you know what's crazy to me is how many qualified buyers haven't bought yet. You know, I remember when we were like nearing the crash, and I was in lending at the time as well. We were nearing the crash, right before the crash. We were in denial. Foreclosures were starting to happen, but no one was like talking about a crash. And so that's what I mean when like you can't really have a crash if people are talking about it. The crash can only come when people don't believe a crash is possible. And no one believed a crash was possible at that time. And it had so many, even though we had so many factors that would lead you to believe that a crash was possible, no one thought it was. Very few people did. And we had run out of qualified buyers a long time ago. So new loan programs are coming out basically to say, okay, who hasn't bought a home yet? Let's make sure those people can get a loan to buy a home. And that's what was going on. This market is so different that we have so many qualified buyers that are not buying, that are choosing to stay on the sidelines, or that are just exiting stage left and going, you know what, I can't deal with this. If it's going to be this crazy, I'm going to figure something else out. And so it's just such a vast difference. The amount of people, if inventory were to hit or if prices were to come in a little bit, the amount of people pre-qualified, ready to go, who could put offers in and pull the trigger on buying something right away. So many. I mean, just for me, I have 100 plus. I mean, there's so many. It's nuts. So when people ask me, is the market slowing down? First question is, what do you mean? Short answer, yes. Short answer, yes. Market's slowing down. So then the question is, what do you mean by that? Well, it's slowing down in the sense that for the most part, we're not seeing people get, 20, 30, 40 offers on a house. But I will tell you this, we just found out this morning, we lost out on 40 offers. This is a conventional loan. I do conventional loans as well. Conventional loan, high credit score, big down payment, lots of assets, W-2 income, the perfect buyer for any house. We didn't even get a counter. There were 40 offers. Didn't even get a counter. So that particular, house was in a super strong seller's market. There are some people who are throwing mud at the wall, okay? And this always happens. It's greedy seller syndrome, GSS, whatever you want to call it. You have someone who's got a house that's not in a great spot, and they're trying to price it like it's in a great spot, okay? Those houses sit. They sit in a situation like this because a lot of buyers, like I said, exiting stage left. A lot of buyers going, wait a minute. Are we buying at the wrong time? Rates are going up. What's happening? Maybe we should chill. And that's kind of what's happening. So we've basically got a lot of people doing that. But there's still so few homes for sale. And this is nationwide still. This isn't just a San Diego issue, that it's not causing prices to go down. It's just causing less of a frenzy. Another one. Here's one. Do I have that property still pulled up? I would show you. Oh, no, actually I wouldn't, because we haven't got it yet. We've got a $2.1 million. Oh, by the way, on the conventional offer, it was listed for $699 and we offered $850 and didn't even get a counter. We offered $850 on a $699 list price, did not even get a counter. So is the market slowing down? Yes. Do we need it to slow down? Yes. Is it a good thing? Yes. Yes. We need it to slow down. We need a breather. And it's slowing down. But people assume that if it's not going to, if the real estate market isn't mooning, then people assume it's a crash. I need you to understand that there's a lot of things in between those two. There's a whole lot of statuses, or stati maybe. Is that the correct is that the correct vocabulary? Wrong button. I'm funny. So if this one that I'm talking about today, we still have a chance. It's a $2 million list price. We're offering 2.15. And we've got 4 other offers. So we have 5 offers on a $2 million plus property. So yeah, is it slowing down? Is there 20 offers on that one? No. Still 5. We're still going to go well above list. We need it to slow down. Slowing down is good. As soon as this, you know what? This is a good comment. Robert, what's up, Robert? Hey, Nyla, how are you doing? We are live. If you want to say what's up, feel free to do so. As soon as prices become in danger, we'll get 40-year mortgages to prop them up. You know what's interesting about that? The 40-year mortgage makes no sense, because the problem is the way amortizations work. The 30 year is kind of perfectly on the curve. When you get to the 40, there's too much arc on that part of the curve. The payment doesn't really go down that much. Like if you look at a 30-year mortgage quote versus a 40-year mortgage quote, the 40-year doesn't save you much money. It doesn't change things much, unfortunately. So the 40-year mortgage isn't it. But you're right, Robert. There will be a solution that will come up, and it's going to be the Federal Reserve. So let's look at rates real quick. Feel free to email me anytime now. I'll help you out, whatever you need. Anybody on here. That's what the email address is for. Hit me up. Let's take a look. Let's dive into some stuff, because I got another couple things we need to talk about today that are a little bit cray-cray. I'm going to give you some links today that I want you to check out. There's some madness going on. There's also some flat-out lies that are taking place. And there's a little hint as well as to what may be coming and maybe why we've seen this sell-off. I mean, look at that. Is the ugliest chart I've seen. I mean, since Bitcoin fell from grace, that is about as bad as it gets. I mean, that's like the backside of Everest. Look at this. Look at that. I didn't have time to do a video yesterday, or we would have talked about how ugly this was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days in a row of pure red. Today we're up 27 basis points. So we're seeing a little bit of recovery here. Huge to get back above the 100-day moving average here. And hopefully we'll close around this level here shortly, which we should. But just really, really ugly. Remember, when mortgage bonds go down like this, that causes mortgage rates to go up. What I've noticed is that the brunt of this exchange is being handled by people with lower credit scores. So if you have a lower credit score, rates are jumping up disproportionately. The people with higher credit scores, rates aren't moving as much. That seems to be across the board. I haven't done a lot of jumbo pricing lately, so I can't say totally across the board, but we're talking about conventional, conforming and high balance, VA, FHA, conforming and high balance. Lower credit scores, taking it on the chin more, which just tells you that investor appetite is more based around the safer bet. And that makes sense. That's good. That makes sense. You know, if we were seeing that not be the case, it would remind me more of pre-crash. So that's a rational investment decision that's being made by bond investors, and I get it, and I'm with you. So although it may hurt my 626 credit score buyer, you know, it makes sense. It's good. It's healthy. So we've got one good day here, and as this was happening, there's a couple things I should point out. Number one, we called this right here, this indecision candle. We pointed out the fact that it looked like this one over here, which led us to that. And then, of course, we got the exact same thing. So we knew this was possible. My optimism led me to try to be at least somewhat bullish about what's possible. But we just blew through every target I had. And I mean, these are ugly, ugly candles, team. Not good. Not good. Looks bad. This finally, a recovery day, you could call this a dead cat bounce. We're going to have to see what happens when this thing hits the 50-day, when it hits this 50% Fibonacci. I expect that if we get up to here, we're going to get resistance and head lower here. This is a reversal of the trend. This is bad. This is bad. And hopefully we can get some more recovery from it, because, you know, rates are actually still in great shape right now. Rates are still in great shape. Amazingly, unless you have those lower credit scores, then you're starting to see some movement 0.25%. So that's what's going on here. Now, what the hint that we got on this, and I don't even know where to begin with all this stuff today. I try to keep it to 10 or 15 minutes. I'll do my best on this today. So, Fed, here, let's look at the headline. Fed should announce bond taper in September, begin it in October, says Dallas Fed President Kaplan. Now, a couple key words here in this headline. First one is should. I know a lot of people, if you say should, they'll slap you. They hate the word that much. And so this, you can see, though, the way this is being propped up is sort of almost like an excuse or an explanation for what's been going on in the bond market. Fed should announce, not Fed to announce or Fed will announce. Fed should announce. And they use the word announce here. This whole headline has me scratching my head going, what are they trying to point us to here? Because the correct headline for this, even with the bias involved, would be Fed should taper bonds in September, or should, begin taper in October. Why would they say should announce bond taper in September? It's very misleading. If you look at this headline, you'll think that they are announcing it. Fed is going to announce tapering, which means they're going to stop buying as many bonds. That would explain why the market, because the big bond boys know this stuff long before you and I see a CNBC article. Trust me. This whole time right here, big selling has been going on. Meanwhile, sellers pretty much got out of the way this whole run up here. There was just a couple of sell-offs, that one and this one, which is pretty small, in all these days. And then all of a sudden they show up. So did someone get trapped here? Was this a big trade? Was this a big ruse? Does this even mean anything? Because this one Fed president can't make this decision on his own. But if the taper is coming sooner rather than later, remember what Jerry Powell said? Jerome Powell, he said, we're not changing anything anytime soon. Then why the bonds get crushed? Was it the inflation data? No, I'm not going to even pull that up. You can't trust any of it. The real reality of inflation is massive, huge, crazy, bonkers. And you're starting to see that actually play out the way that it should in a few different places. One of those places here, as we go and we'll take a look, Dow Jones, I think that's a record, right? For the Dow, 3544. New record. After inflation report is not as bad as feared. Oh my gosh. Inflation is so much worse than what they're saying. This headline is total BS. So Dow Jones, record high, all time. S&P not, but nearing. NASDAQ struggled a little bit today. Oil recovering. Remember, I told you, buying opportunity. The U.S. is now calling on OPEC. The Biden administration has asked OPEC to release more supply to reduce the price of oil and therefore gas, because they believe that that's the solution. Meanwhile, they cut all kinds of production here domestically, which was keeping the price down without having to rely on anyone else. So whatever. Oh, here you go. After White House calls for OPEC to boost production. So there you go. You can look this up if you want. The article's garbage. So oil up. Gold back down to 1750. Must be painful to own gold. It really must. Just painful, like watching paint dry. It's hard to own crypto, believe me. I'm a hodler. We're at 46,000, mid 46,000s here for Bitcoin. Ethereum has been on a tear. I own Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP at Ripple. Look at Ripple over $1. What in the world is going on with Ripple? What in the world? I actually had a dream that Ripple retired me. In my dream, it was like $2,000 per XRP. I don't think that's even remotely possible that it could ever get that high, but Ripple retired me in a dream one time. So I always think about that because it's one of those things. I bought 5,000 XRP. I'm way upside down. I bought them for like $3 a piece, and I just stored it. It's not in cold storage, it's in hot storage, but It's just stored, and I don't care. That's it. I'm done. That was a bet, a long-term bet. We'll see what happens, but it's just funny. What should be on here instead of Bitcoin Cash, which is just basically a copy of Bitcoin, and I don't know why anyone owns it, is Cardano. ADA should be up here. That's something I'm pretty heavily invested in, and it has been on an absolute tear, a tear. We won't talk too much about that, but one of the things on here, I do want you to watch this video. If you're interested in crypto and what's going on with Bitcoin and the SEC, we talked about, a video that came out earlier. Remember, Bitcoin to $1 million, which is where I think it will get to, at least. In order to get there, a lot of things have to happen. Have to go through the SEC, have to face regulation, have to face lots of hard times, lots of FUD, lots of crap along the way. Also, the world kind of has to be on fire, right? Like that's another thing. Like if you're a big Bitcoin bull like I am, you got to realize that what you're betting on is the shit show of, Federal Reserves, International Monetary Fund policy. You're betting on all these governments to screw up, basically, devalue their currency. And then as a pair to that currency, Bitcoin will go higher, which is, what should happen. I have no idea why it sold off so hard besides all the FUD and shorting that was going on. But in this article, the Bitcoin ETF, no longer an if, but a win. That's what Grayscale Investment says. Grayscale Investment, GBTC, is the, here it is right here, GBTC. I own a bunch of this in my retirement accounts. This is a trust that owns actual Bitcoin, and you can buy it at a discount in the trust. It's amazing. Trades at a discount to the net value because of the volatility of Bitcoin. So you buy Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, GBTC, you're actually buying like a 7% decrease deal on actual cost of Bitcoin. So if, let's say, Bitcoin was 50 grand per coin, you're buying, the coin for like 46.5 through GBTC, because there's this implied volatility in GBTC. You can only trade during market hours. It's not 24/7 like Bitcoin. So there has to be some sort of delta there, right? So it's a really interesting thing, but you can buy it inside of your retirement accounts and IRAs and all that stuff. And it's totally legit. But as far as an ETF, exchange traded fund, which is different. So they got around it with the trust. The ETF hasn't happened yet here in the US. There's one in Europe, which had insane demand. There are specialty offerings that are being made to private wealth clients. We showed you that story. Jamie Dimon has contacted NYDIG. They're getting their private clients into this. This will happen. It's just a matter of time. And when it does, that'll be great. There is a guy who was on this segment too, who just opened up an ETF. It's a Bitcoin. It's a Bitcoin mutual fund, not an ETF. It's a Bitcoin mutual fund, which just buys and exits the Bitcoin futures every day. So they buy the futures in the morning, sell them at the end of the day. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm going to have to take a hard look at that, because if there's a big buyer in the morning and a big seller in the evening, that's a good place to scalp some money. So anyway, more to come on that. The rental bidding wars right now are truthfully one of the biggest catalysts for buyers. A lot of people struggling to find rentals, or people who realize that, I don't want to be in a bidding war to buy a house, so I'm going to go rent one. And they go start looking for rentals, and they're like, shit, it's a bidding war no matter which way we look. There's no way to avoid it. The supply issue, the housing crisis is real. It's here. And there's really no way around it. So, we basically have a situation here where we're going to have supply shorting in housing that could last years. This is the new normal. And it's not just pointed at any one market. It's all over the country. So keep in mind. Yeah. Yep, I hear you, Robert. Yeah, gold is what happens. Yeah, gold comes into play. I don't know. Gold comes into play maybe if like the power goes out forever. You know what I mean? Like if the internet gets shut down. See, that's the one thing that's of all the things that are like apocalyptic, There's actually a movie about this, and it is a pretty good little low budget movie about the power just went off like in the suburbs. And what happened, like within 10 days, they were killing each other. Because the power goes off, it controls everything. If you don't have lights, you don't have heat, you don't have AC, you can't cook, you can't go to the grocery store, you can't, all this money that you have in your bank or your retirement account, it's just on a computer screen. What if your computer doesn't turn on? Where's that money? Who gets it? Are they guarding it for you? Hope so. But you can't do much with it. So that's when gold comes in. Okay, so you're talking about if you're a real doomsdayer, then yeah, physical gold in your safe at home, that's your best bet. But this rental market thing is really a big catalyst. Not to be in the reason why this is worth paying attention to when you look at rents going up, you look at people who are renting properties and how many applications are getting, the quality of rental applications they're receiving. This is huge. It's a backstop. It is a layer of protection for the housing market. And there's so many of those right now. Team, I'm telling you, we're at the beginning of a super cycle in real estate. And I just hope that we're in the beginning of a super cycle in Bitcoin as well. I got to call this out. This is flat out propaganda horseshit. I'm not going to even say these two words because this video will probably get censored if I do. But I can promise you this, no one wants this. No one wants this at all. But look at what they're saying. They're saying that it's gaining traction. Gaining traction? A survey that was done by a company that no one's ever heard of. Look, they don't even name who did the survey here. You have to go in here and see. I've never heard of these guys. You ever heard of these people? I haven't. They did 1,000 people, okay, over a 2-day period. This is an insanely small sample size. And found that 81.8%. So how does a survey provide you with misleading information? Unfortunately, I know exactly how because I was a part of this evil horseshit for 6 months of my life. And here's what they do. So these people probably did a survey over the course of a month. So they picked a period within that month where they got the results closest to what they wanted. They happened to hit people who believed that this percentage of people believed, and they did it as approximately this many people. And that's how they come up with this. But you'll see these details, are sort of buried. They're not part of the headline. They're not part of the key points. They just tell you the key points that support this because that is what they want to ultimately control you. If a government were going to ultimately control you, how would they do it? Well, first thing they need to do is they need to get the power to give you things and take things away from you. In other words, they have to remove your freedom. And if it requires this that's highlighted here, if that's required to go places, to do things, and the government is who's in control of that, they can give it to you or they can take it away from you. If you've been a bad boy, they might take it away from you. What does bad boy mean? I don't know. Maybe you said some things on social media. Maybe you made a video. I mean, this is tyranny, team. This is bad. This is really, really bad. No one wants this. And there's already huge uprisings all over the world as a result of this, including very, very corrupt government nations. I can't believe it's happening here. It's really, really sad. But there will be a lot of pushback here. So that is something that could threaten everything. If this really does get brought down as forcefully as some of these other things are, then there's going to be conflict. And everybody needs to be prepared for that. That could send markets in a tizzy if we have internal conflict here in our country. So just, remember, we're always prepared. We always have to be ready for a crash or a big dip. Like, always be mentally prepared for that. Never be in an emotional state when something like that happens. But it's good to look for catalysts because sometimes you can see these things escalating. If I had known better, I would have seen the real estate crash coming back in 2008. I would have seen it in 2006. Around the time Michael Burry saw it, I would have seen it too. For different reasons because I was in it. And I started seeing them making exceptions. There was already loose lending guidelines, and they would make exceptions for anything. You could call Countrywide and say, hey, I know you require, 2 years history for this, but I've got a guy with 8 months. Can you make an exception? And they would say yes. I mean, whatever you needed. You just call, can we get an exception? Yes, you can. Give us the paper. And that was the biggest red flag ever. I didn't know at the time. If I had known, if I had understood the financial markets better, if I had known how to profit from it, wouldn't be having this conversation right now. I'd be on my own island somewhere. I'm glad I didn't. Happy with the way things worked out. But if you know sort of what some of those red flags are, some of those things that are going to lead up to it, then you can kind of see escalations as they're coming. You can get a little bit more protected. I've been telling people, who say, hey, I want to get out of the market altogether. Don't do that. Maybe sell 50%, but then make sure you have a re-entry plan in place that's automated. That makes sense. Because if you're going to be right about that, then your dollar cost average will work out well for you if you do that. If you try to go all in and all out of the market, you will lose. You will get completely drired by the big boys. So don't do that. All right, so let's see. Where are we at? Still at plus 27. Let's refresh this real quick. Make sure we held on. It's 205. Hay fever doing way better today. Well, see, we lost 5 basis points there at the end. So not a great candle, to be honest with you. That wick at the top is not a great sign. But listen, we closed above both the 100-day moving average and Fibonacci support at the 618. The 50% didn't play out. Remember, that's what I was really hoping would play out. Didn't. And we do have another piece of resistance here at the 50-day moving average. So we'll have to deal with that and the 50% retracement. Those are our issues. Hopefully we can see some support here. And actually, it would be better to come back down to support and move higher than it would be to go up and find more resistance and then have momentum taking us down through this 100-day moving average. That would be best. The 200-day is up here now. It's far away again. So we're a ways away from it. But rate's still good. Rate's still good. A lot of people who haven't pulled the trigger on the refi yet, my suggestion to you is this. Don't let this happen again. Put yourself in position where you can push the lock button and move forward. Get yourself in position for that. Have your application in. Tell your loan officer, I'm going to get my application in. I'm going to start my refi. I'm going to get it moving, get the appraisal going, do all that stuff. It's a great time to have an appraisal done. Hold off on the lock. Hold off on the lock. If you like the rate that you are looking at today, take it. It's okay. It's okay. It's always okay to take savings when they're handed to you. Take it. Take it. But if you don't, it's not quite there yet. You're not in love with it. Give it a little bit more time to breathe. I do think we may see a better day to lock than right at this minute. So NFTs, it's NFTs are interesting. I don't have a lot of experience with NFTs. I've never bought an NFT. I've never sold an NFT. I do see a lot of people buying them. I see a lot of money being made there. I see a lot of things happening with it. I just can't imagine what that's going to do overall to a market. I can't wrap my head around it yet. It's the same place I was 3 years ago with Bitcoin. I just didn't understand it. It didn't make sense to me. When I finally got it, it all came together. I still need that day to come for NFTs. So when it does, I'll be sure to let you know. You guys have a great day. And I will be in touch soon. And remember, hey, your boy here, make money doing home loans. Videos are free. Don't put any commercials on them because I want you to get the information. I believe you deserve it. I don't think it's cost you anything. But if you need a home loan, shoot me a text, call, email. If you need to buy a refi, I'll be here for you. Have a great day, team. Take care.